Squid Game's third season showed us how close some of the most unexpected characters were to winning the game, but the actual winner isn't necessarily the strongest one. So who would have been most likely to win the game if it wasn't for the plot armor? We're about to break it down, so be sure to subscribe and let's get into it. The aggressive manipulator. There are those who play the game with brute force, and there are those who play it with their minds. Player 100, Im Jung-dae, was firmly in the latter camp. A cynical and manipulative businessman, he entered the games drowning in a staggering 10 billion won of debt, the biggest of the contestants by a long shot. From the very beginning, his strategy was not to be the strongest, but to be the most persuasive. He was an aggressive old man who constantly demanded that the games continue, showcasing an immense greed and a willingness to sacrifice anyone for his own benefit. He tried to bully and shame those who went against his goals, showing that he waged war mentally rather than just physically. His talent for rallying others to work alongside him was undeniable. He was a master of sowing discord and influencing the terrified crowd, successfully getting half of the contestants to vote to continue on at least one occasion. After the second game, he was openly disappointed that so many people had survived, as it reduced his potential share of the prize money. This chilling and calculated focus on the bottom line, rather than human life, made him uniquely suited for the psychological warfare inherent in the design of the games. His cunning wasn't just in his words, though. During the fourth game, Knives and Keys, a deadly, messed-up version of hide-and-seek, he demonstrated a remarkable level of self-preservation. When nearly discovered and killed by a hunter, he had the presence of mind to smear blood on his face and play dead, a move that successfully fooled his would-be killer. However, his survival often came at the direct expense of others. Shortly after this clever and narrow escape, he repaid the player who helped him, the shaman Seonyo, by locking her in a room to be killed, securing his own path forward without a moment's hesitation. He did this after fooling her into planning her escape alongside him, working together until the last moment when he betrayed her. This pattern of self-interest and betrayal continued right up to the very end. During the final dinner, he was instrumental in forming a majority alliance of brutal players that planned to systematically eliminate the weaker players in the last game so that they could get out of it alive. He positioned himself as a leader, but his leadership was built on a foundation of expendability, where allies were merely tools to be discarded for his personal benefit. His downfall was a testament to the game's brutal logic. Cornered by player 333, he resorted to bribery and desperate excuses, but his manipulative words finally failed him. He was pushed from the final platform, not because he was weak or foolish, but because he was outmaneuvered by someone even more ruthless in that moment. Although he met his end there, he had the potential to win the game thanks to his ability to mess with people's minds and use them to his advantage. His downfall was trying this with the wrong person, a situation he was simply unlucky with. His killer, on the other hand, was an even stronger player. The powerhouse father. Driven by a singular, powerful motivation, player 333, Lee Myung-gi, was a force of nature within the games. While initially appearing as just another brutal antagonist, allied with the violent Nam-gyu, his true purpose slowly came into focus: the protection of player 222 and their unborn child. This objective transformed him from a simple thug into one of the most focused and dangerous players in the competition. His physical strength was clear, and he wielded it with ruthless efficiency. He was a key player in the final game, where he used his power to eliminate others, including the manipulative player 100. He understood the brutal calculus of the games, recognizing that every elimination increased the prize money and his child's potential future security. The biggest flaw he had was letting the chaotic atmosphere of the games lead him to jump to conclusions. This is what led him to commit one of the most heartbreaking acts of the season, the killing of player 120. It was a terrible mistake born from the chaos of the moment, a misjudgment that haunted the final stages of the game. As the number of survivors dwindled, his protective instincts curdled into a dangerous obsession. In his final confrontation with Gi-hun, his desperation reached its peak. In a horrifying display of his willingness to do anything to win, he held his own infant child over the edge of the pillar, threatening to drop the baby to force Gi-hun's submission. This was a man pushed beyond all moral boundaries, where the goal of providing for his child justified even the most repulsive of threats. Ultimately, this single-mindedness became his downfall. His final battle with Gi-hun was not just a physical struggle, but a war of attrition. Dangling from the pillar, holding onto a jacket held by Gi-hun, his paranoia and desperation were too great to simply talk things out with Gi-hun, and instead, he jumped into violence. He had the strength and the motivation to win, but his brutal methods and fatal misjudgments led him to self-destruct just shy of the finish line. So if being strong isn't a guaranteed way to win, what about being crazy? The unstable wildcard. Pure unbridled aggression can be a powerful tool in Squid Game, and no one embodied that more than player 124, Nam-gyu. Fueled by a cocktail of drugs and a bizarre obsession with a former rival, Nam-gyu was a relentless and unpredictable hunter. He styled himself after Thanos, taking pills for a boost and ranting about his past, making him a terrifying presence for anyone who crossed his path. In the hide-and-seek game, he was a formidable predator, working with player 3-3 to relentlessly chase down their targets. He seemed to revel in the violence, fascinated by the moment life leaves a person's body. His taunting of Min-soo, tormenting him over the death of a friend, revealed a deep-seated cruelty. For a time, it seemed this aggressive, fearless approach might carry him far. He was not afraid to kill, and his unpredictable nature made others hesitant to challenge him directly. However, his strength was built on a very fragile foundation. His courage was not all his own. It came from the pills in the cross-shaped necklace he carried. This reliance proved to be his critical weakness. During the fifth game, Jump Rope, a terrifying challenge requiring players to jump over a fast-spinning metal rope on a narrow bridge, his chemical courage ran out. Reaching for his necklace after it was thrown onto the tracks, he discovered it was empty mid-game. The effect was devastating. Without his drugs, the terrifying persona crumbled, revealing the terrified man beneath. He froze, paralyzed by fear, and was unceremoniously swept off the bridge by the rope. His end was abrupt and anticlimactic, a brutal illustration that pure, unsupported aggression is not enough to conquer the games. His journey showed that without a stable mind and genuine fortitude, any player, no matter how intimidating, is destined to break. He could have lasted until the end if he hadn't been so reliant on the drugs. The best contender, though, is something we should all agree on: the true champion. In the arena of death that is Squid Game, it's rare to find a contestant who possesses a perfect balance of intelligence, strength, and compassion. Player 120 was that rare exception. From the outset, she established herself as a natural leader and a keenly observant strategist. During the chaotic hide-and-seek game, while others panicked, she calmly assessed the situation, deciphering the complex system of circle, triangle, and square keys needed to navigate the maze-like arena. Her group, which included the pregnant player 222 and the elderly player 149, instinctively trusted her, handing over their keys for her to manage. But her capabilities extended far beyond intelligence. Player 120 was a formidable fighter. When her small group was threatened by player 226, she didn't hesitate. She stood her ground, taking a fighting stance to protect her weaker companions. What followed was a stunning display of combat prowess, as she single-handedly defeated him in a duel, finishing the fight with a decisive judo throw and taking his knife. Later, she would again prove her skill by killing player 202 in another knife fight to protect her group. She was, by all accounts, one of the most dangerous individuals in the game. What made player 120 truly remarkable, and ultimately what led to her tragic end, was her unwavering loyalty. Her primary focus was always on protecting her makeshift family. She watched over player 222 during her labor, held the newborn baby, and fiercely defended them. Her defining moment came when she discovered a guaranteed exit from the game. With all three keys in her possession, she could have walked away, a victor in her own right. But instead of saving herself, she chose to go back for her friends, to share the news of their salvation. This act of profound selflessness was her undoing. As she returned to tell them of the exit, she was stabbed in the back by player 333. He had no idea she was an ally, no idea she was the very person who had just secured a path to safety for the mother of his child. Her death was the most tragic misunderstanding of the season, the elimination of a player who had demonstrated every quality needed to win. She wasn't outplayed or outsmarted. She was brought down by an act of senseless violence at the very moment her compassion should have saved them all. Player 120 was, without a doubt, the most well-rounded contender, and in a just world, she would have been the one to win. But the plot demanded something else, a different kind of victory. In the end, the game saw a conclusion that no one could have predicted. It wasn't the Manipulator, the all-rounder, or the powerhouse who won. It wasn't even a Wildcard. Instead, through a final selfless act by Gi-hun, the sole survivor was a baby, player 222's child, who was carried across the finish line. Gi-hun, haunted by the violence and given the chance by the frontman to become a winner himself, ultimately chose a different path. He rejected the brutal logic of the game, declaring, "We are not horses, we are humans," before sacrificing himself. This moral victory stands in a dark contrast to the paths of the other contenders. While players like Im Jong-dae and Myung-gi embraced the kill or be killed nature of the game, and a warrior like player 120 was tragically consumed by it, Gi-hun transcended it. His journey highlights the central theme of the story, the struggle to retain one's soul in the face of absolute desperation. While others fought to win the money, he fought to win back his humanity. Looking back, the arena is filled with the ghosts of those who were, by many metrics, more qualified to win than the child or even Gi-hun himself. Player 100 had the cunning, player 333 had the drive, and player 120 had, well, just about everything. But the plot demanded controversy. So these are our picks for who should have won the game. Do you agree, or are there some we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Squid Game content and theories, click the video on screen now.